Welcome to the Chronically Well podcast, where we have real conversations with community that need to be heard. Um, I have never sat down, had a conversation with you. I know nothing about you. I don't even know where you are in the world. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Do you pronounce it Ivan or Even?
Ivan.
Ivan?
Yeah,
Ivan. All right,
yeah.
I am Will, host of the Chronically Will podcast. Again, thank you for joining me on this journey. I know that I'm about to take a trip around the world, and
Yeah,
I truly appreciate you for allowing me to embark on this voyage, this journey with you, my brother.
yeah. It's
So,
an absolute pleasure.
could you please give our audience a summary of who you are?
Well, I was 16 uh, when I started feeling thirsty. I told my school nurse about the fact that I was, peeing a lot, and I needed to drink a lot, and I was losing weight, and all she could say was, "Well, just go drink more water." And it wasn't for the next 4 weeks in and out of hospital. But what that led to was the birth of somebody who is very much interested in type 1 diabetes. Um, it led to the birth of a lawyer who's passionate about rights, health rights, especially about type 1 diabetes, and who is passionate about patient inclusion in type 1 diabetes, especially. So my name is Ivan Okoth. I am from Uganda, and I've been type 1 diabetic for the last 15 years.
Ivan from Uganda, been type 1
Yeah,
diabetic for the last 15 years.
yeah.
Now I know where I know you from.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Hamida.
Yeah. Yes.
Hamida Lubaka.
Yes, she's a very good friend of mine. We've been on this journey together. She's my senior, if you
Hmm.
would say that, in this diabetes space. But since we've known her, we've been on this journey of trying to, push for a shift in the way T1Ds looked at, or how they're involved in the management and the grand scale of things regarding their condition.
Right. And you are getting there because if I would have looked, if I look back 4 to 5 years ago, I would
Yeah,
have not seen your representation on social media.
yeah,
But
most
now it's in
certainly.
front of me, and now I know about diabetes in Uganda and throughout Africa, all
Yeah,
regions, because
yeah,
of you and your warrior brother and sisters um, sharing your stories, not being a
yeah.
part of what was the past, where a lot of people just didn't talk about diabetes.
So true, so true.
Yeah.
I mean, when I joined the clinic, I think it was about a couple of months after I'd been diagnosed. I didn't have, for instance, friends at the clinic. Everybody would just come in, pick the supplies, and head out. And that was because the people the older generation we formed there were not really, brought up in a way that, okay, you need to come together. You need to, have this sort of peer support. You need to share your stories with each other. You need to share your challenges. You need to learn from each other. So for us, that pushed us a bit to want to be different, because we knew there was going to come a time where we were in a position where the young ones, the newly diagnosed ones, are going to look at us, look up to us for leadership or guidance. And what we wanted to create was an environment where they would embrace their condition from the day they get into clinic. They Where they would feel that that T1D was sort of like a privilege to have, because they would have met such an amazing community and amazing family that understood them, that wasn't judging them, that was with them through every aspect of their lives.
Yes, truly appreciate that because we know when diagnosed with this new chronic health condition,
Yeah.
for the most part, we feel alone.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
you're gifting these families, these young people, the opportunity to grow with it and be proud of who they are instead of being stigmatized for
Yeah.
having this chronic health condition. They're truly embracing who they are, and they're able to see persons like yourself, Ivan, who's been living with it for 15 years. And now they know, their parents know that, oh, this is a life that I can live. I can
Yeah.
be my valued, authentic self.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that is where, if you could just, build into what you said, your valued authentic self. For many T1Ds, they can't, they couldn't, uh, you know, express themselves. There's of course a discussion whether one should describe themselves as as a T1D, a type 1 diabetic. Should that define you? And I said yes, because it's who you are. It's who you're going to be. And the reason why somebody would not want to associate with it is because maybe it's something bad about it. Yes, there's something bad about it, but there's also something good about it. Because one, it empowers you. It gives you a voice. Importantly, it gives you a sense of purpose. And for anybody who, when anybody discovers a sense of purpose, there's nothing that beats that. And for me, that's why I'm proudly type 1 diabetic on my social medias. When I introduce myself, that's all I'll say. I'm type 1 diabetic. I won't tell you anything about it. And unless you probe further, that's only when you know what else I do. But other than that, I'll be a type 1 diabetic because what it embodies is something that is much, much deeper than what people think. It's much bigger than what people think because it
Yes.
embodies perseverance, it embodies defiance. Because we go against so many odds. Here in Uganda. Recently, I was in a meeting and they say about 80% of people with NCTs never get to live up to the age of 70. And with type 1 diabetics, who many of them are lost to late diagnosis or misdiagnosis, it's even much higher. So uh, the odds stacked against somebody who lives with this condition, the odds are way too many. So it's a badge of honor, if I would say that. It is a badge of honor that everybody who has T1D should wear proudly.
Right. Because if the odds are stacked against you, then why wouldn't you want to live your best life? Like be able
Precisely.
to explore and do everything
Exactly.
that the odds are telling you that you can't,
You
you
can't.
shouldn't be able to do. And like just by showing your face and your own abilities to do things, like you were 15 diagnosed, like you were a maturing young man.
Yeah.
This diagnosis altered you, changed you, but look at you today.
Uh,
Like,
I wanted to be an engineer before diagnosis.
mhm,
That was my plan. I never saw myself taking this path. I'm moving along this path that I did. And the truth is, diabetes did affect, for instance, my choices I made at school, higher learning. What was I going to do? Because I needed to think, okay, this is my condition. How can it, how can I make it work for me? So it took me towards a different path that I didn't see coming, but which I am glad for. Because I get to speak about something that has an impact for so many others like me. To
yes,
be able to share what you're going through, because you know that it's not just about you, it's about others, but also knowing that what you do is going to inspire and encourage others to actually also stand up and say, hey, you know what? He's right. We need to stand up and say, no, enough is enough of this. So, yeah, I'm glad about the journey. It's not been an easy one, but we have tried. Uh, we've tried to be resourceful. We have tried to think outside of the box. Um, Maybe later on I will expound on some of the things we've done. So I don't want to preempt maybe your questions.
No, I was just thinking like if it wasn't for type 1 diabetes, more than likely I would have never ever met you, never
Yeah,
ever met Hamida. And I'm going
yeah,
to let you know, like it was about a year ago when I recorded with her.
yeah,
And still to this day, just hearing her voice warms my soul. Like seriously, I'm like, Hamida, you went from your family having a poultry farm
yeah,
to the works that you are doing,
yeah,
riding your bicycle during a pandemic to make sure that people have insulin in their needs. Like the work that y'all put in, I
yeah,
mean, it makes me here in the US where we are privileged to the access of so many things, like just
yeah, true.
feel so much greater because I mean, again, if it wasn't for type 1 diabetes, I wouldn't know you, but my life journey, my story wouldn't be full without meeting and without knowing you because now I have stories that I can share with people and let them know. You see the smile on Ivan's face? He has type 1
and,
diabetes. He has
and let
type
me
1.
and we well let me tell you this. I told somebody recently about a couple of days back that it's funny how if I look at the circle of my friends, my very close and very good friends, my ride or die
Right.
friends, 31 days. I mean, they're the only people probably I would call at 3 a.m. and they're show up.
I
It's
feel you.
crazy because you spoke of what we did during the COVID the pandemic, riding the bicycles. It was crazy because one of the fellow T1Ds didn't have medicine. Just we're chatting on WhatsApp and say, hey, okay, do you know this person? Do you know somebody stays in this area with this person's? Okay, can you connect him so that he can share his supplies with that other person? We will ride to the clinic, pick, and then deliver to him to replenish his stock. And for me, the reason why I did that was because I know if somebody else, another T1D, was in that position, was in my position, and I was in the other person's position, they would have done the same for me.
It's
And
just
that's
like
how,
helping your neighbor.
yes, exactly. And unfortunately, or rather, I don't know if you could say fortunately, but that's what we're left with right now. Because as T1Ds, if we don't come together, if we don't look out for each other, we are unfortunately going to lose out. We're going to lose each other. We're going to lose out on so many things. We've had cases where um, uh, fellow diabetics just disappear disappear uh, from the view and just so I was saying that we lose some of the people to because of course the challenges of the condition. It's not just getting insulin, but the truth is it burdens our families. They won't say it, but it burdens them. Uh, in some areas, in the rural areas, you find a family has about 7 children, or let's just say 4 children, and then the burden of taking care of this one particular child with type 1 diabetes literally means that the family is going to sell off its assets, its land. They're going to sell off all their crops. They're going to sell off all their supplies, surplus, food that kept away in the granaries or something like that. And all of this is being done at the expense of the other children, at the expense of the other family, at the expense of the other needs of the family. So you find that many people are, some of them are forced to, just give up, withdraw, and, accept the fact that, this is it, we're done. And many a times I feel as a community, we have not really done so much to make sure that we're there for everyone. We would love to do so much more. We would love to do so much more. But the problem is that sometimes when somebody, ceases communicating, it becomes difficult because it's not like we're all in urban areas. If I'm in the urban area, let's say a city or a town, some of the people we're talking to are hundreds of miles away in really difficult areas to reach. So even if you wanted to go out and say that, it just becomes impossible. The logistics just become impossible. And of course, we've been speaking about things like peer support. How do we make it work? Okay, for instance, if the people in the same clinic area, how do we get them, organize them a bit, come and have a sort of like a chapter or a grouping where they meet maybe every month or something like that. Those are some of the things we've been thinking about, and that we hope we can, start on some of these in this next couple of months or weeks or something.
Right. You're doing
But
everything that you can to lessen this burden.
yeah, but you see, this is a very big, serious problem that we have. And I'm not here to lament, but some of these things need to be spoken about.
Speak your truth.
Yeah, because when we talk about engagement and involvement of T1Ds, and not just T1Ds, but really generally people living with these conditions, these chronic conditions, and you attend some of these meetings because I'm privileged that I have access to some of these meetings where supposed policies are made. And you look across the room, and it's just you. Okay, it's just you. So even if you raised your voice or said something, they're going to drown you out. They're going to drown you out. So some of the things that we need to, for instance, maybe look at, how do we increase the inclusion of T1Ds in meaningful engagement? Because it's not enough to say, okay, yes, we are doing things for them and this and that, but are you doing things with them? I think there's something that, and the challenge is because you see, you get this condition while you're young, okay? So you diagnose that, let's say 14, 10, 8. So the people who make the decisions, see you grow up as a child. And in Africa here, I don't know where, but well, mostly in Uganda here, if somebody has seen you grow up as a child, you're certainly going to remain a child in their eyes. And that's the biggest challenge that we face. That even when you have something to say, they're not going to listen to you or give you the opportunity to speak because, well, I think, oh, this is somebody I saw growing up. Yeah, he's grown, but yeah, what does he know? There is that, what does he know? And of course, we've tried to counter that. Personally, I'm a lawyer, an advocate, which basically means I can represent clients in court and all those things. Mm-hmm. So now that's given me an edge that you're not going to say something and I wouldn't know, or you're not going to say something and I'm going to keep quiet. I will speak up and I'll speak out. And obviously, that's rubbed several people the wrong way. But I don't think we can be polite anymore.
Right.
I'm not calling for extremism.
Mhm.
I'm calling for what you'd call radicalism because sitting back hasn't helped us. It hasn't.
You know what's crazy? Again, when I was speaking to Hamida, and it's
Yeah,
all just coming to fruition, just thinking about it, she was telling me, she said, Will, she said diabetes in Uganda is maybe 30 years to 50 years behind
yeah,
diabetes care in the US.
so
And
much,
when,
so
and
much.
hearing you talk, Ivan, about joining together, uh basically forming a movement where we let them know like we're standing tall.
Yeah,
There's nothing that can break this barrier. We need
yes.
access. It reminds me of those civil rights movements of the
Very
like
much.
60s, 70s,
Yeah,
from
I've
Dr.
read about it.
King to Malcolm
Yeah,
X to
yes.
Nelson Mandela and apartheid. Like it reminds me of all of those things. It's just for justice. Like you just want your life to be valued.
Yes.
And for so long, you've just been like people have been like, okay, it's just going to happen. We're going to believe, but nah. Tupac said it best.
Yeah,
He said, he's not going to stand there basically watching people have parties in front of him and not let him in. He said, after a while, it goes from, we hungry, can you please let us in?
yeah,
Then it turns into, I'm picking the lock, coming through the door, blasting.
yeah,
Because for too long, they've they've seen you. They've known you since you were a child. They've
yeah,
known all of y'all since y'all were children. So
yeah.
today, if they still see you as that child, then they should still want to help nurture your growth and development
Yeah,
and not just whisk you off to the side. Because I've had conversations with like people in Africa, all over Africa,
yeah,
and India more recently. I've had 3 conversations where they've said some similar things to where you, the person living with type 1 diabetes, and we know this is a burden on ourselves, our own health and well-being mentally and physically, but it's a great burden on our communities, our families, those who love us. And they've told me, people in India have told me the same similar stories of how people have gone missing
yeah.
or disappeared. And they know it's because they just wanted to remove that burden from their
Burden. Yeah,
family.
yeah. That is so true.
Yeah.
And and we don't have a space to speak about it. It's unfortunate. We don't have that.
Mhm.
Obviously, some of the things we're looking at, of course, is maybe creating that that space. I don't know what form that will take in the future.
More people
But
that's going to help stand up for you and stand up
yeah,
with you all around.
exactly.
Like me here, like everyone. All of these mega organizations you see in the
Yeah,
US, from JDRF, which is now Breakthrough T1D, to
yeah,
Beyond Type
breakthrough.
1, all of those
Yeah,
organizations that are now globally, they need to step up. We have what we need here, really. We can
yeah.
access it.
You're lucky.
We can access it. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's tough, but it's there.
Yeah, and you see, right now, many of the diabetics, especially the ones that grew up uh, with the condition and were lucky enough to get into these programs,
Mhm.
they've got these programs that provide them with these supplies. But again, these supplies are restricted by age. So after a certain age, somebody's supposed to go off. When you're a certain age, you can't join the program. And you find there's so many people who are taken care of, who are out there. But also, what happens, for instance, when the taps get closed, when the programs come to an end? what happens?
Mhm.
Are people going to go back to rationing? Are people going to go back to using the syringes maybe for a whole week? Because the reality on the ground is that it's difficult. It's difficult to live with this condition on one's by oneself. It's
Yeah.
difficult,
It's
and
so
it's not just
it's so difficult that and when you do reach that age where you're taken off of that assisted program, you
yeah,
shouldn't have to go search for the next step, the next resources, because you are the person that's
yeah.
living with this chronic health condition and it's affecting you. The stress that it put that the stress that lingers with type 1 diabetes, those hormonal imbalances, the
Yeah.
rise in blood sugars because of the stress. People don't know about that. They don't see that. That's the
They
invisibility.
don't.
Right.
People didn't understand that a hypo is not fact or a hyper is not fact. Okay, people don't understand that it's real that somebody could go to sleep at night and not wake up.
Mhm.
It's very much real. It's very much every single day is literally a gift. And people don't get it. People don't get the constant need to, or the worry that you have about whether complications are going to set in, whether when I take my insulin, will I have food? And if I don't have food, will I get into hypo? Even how will I treat my hypos? People can afford to have the hypo treats.
Mhm.
So what do? Just make sure your sugars stay high. You can always just, take a little dose, drink some water, but just make sure it stays high. Because when it goes down, nobody knows what to do. And not because you haven't told them, but I can bet you this for people who have lived with, let's say, for 5 years or even 6 years. Ask them how many times anybody close to them has, really ask them, okay, can you just talk about how you're feeling? Can you just talk about your condition? I just want to listen to you. Or can you rant to me about your condition? It doesn't happen.
And
So
that's how it is abroad. Also, like it's like that everywhere.
yeah. So you find the only space that will, gives this is basically fellow T1Ds. And I'll tell you
Hmm.
this. They're happiest when they're with their fellow T1Ds. And you can see it. We've been privileged to have several camps, and I've been lucky enough to be involved in several of these camps with children across uh, with T1D. And the impact of these camps, basically them coming together and sharing what they're going through, what they've gone through, it stays with them for months, for years. We had a camp pre-COVID, that was about 2019. And then we had the next one, the same location, about 4 years, 3 years later. But the T1Ds who I last saw maybe 3 years back, I didn't even have contact with them. When we met again, we were still friends. We were still talking about things that happened 3 years ago, how they were expecting the same camp to be as amazing as the one that they had before. And for me, all we need to do is to ensure that we can create, this space. But how do you create that space? We can only create that space by ensuring that we have more voices advocating for that space. And
Voices, more funds, more grants, everything.
but it doesn't need to have big grants all the time. Yeah, fine, grants are fantastic. I mean, they make it easier. But I'm talking about letting people speak whatever it is they want to speak, whether it's broken English, whether it doesn't bring out that point, but let people rant. Let people talk about what they want to see. Let people talk about what living with the condition for 1 year or 6 months has been, for two, even if it's just 2 days. People talk about what happens when they miss, their insulin dose. Let them talk about it. And let them talk about what they want to see. Because oftentimes we find ourselves in positions where people don't actually speak because maybe it doesn't, fit a certain agenda. But the agenda should only be one. One, a T1D. That's it.
Because
That should be the only agenda.
the ability, like everyone else, gets to be unapologetically them everywhere they are,
Thank
no
you.
matter what.
Thank you. That's what
If
it's got to be.
that's what we want, right?
Yeah.
We want to be able to be in any room, in any space, and just tell our truth. Let people need to listen and just hear us out. But when those camps, the meetups we have here,
Yeah.
I've never had smiles on my face the way that I smile when I'm around my people.
I know. And do you know what, Will? I totally get that smile because one thing about T1Ds is wherever we are, we totally and get each other. We click. The moment I know you're T1D, that's it.
It's
That's
it's
it.
like you're twins.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Because no one else knows about the nights you spent up trying to figure out how are you going to get your insulin, how are you going to bring
Yeah.
your blood sugar down, just the nuances of it, like just thinking about like, darn, I really do give myself all of these injections per day, and if I do not have this, my life would not exist. Like
And
only we know
actually,
this.
actually, I understand in the US and I think the EU or UK, for instance, diabetes is a disability. It is
Mhm.
considered a disability. Here, it is not. It's not.
Yeah. It's
So
considered a
we don't even have
disability here
the
in the US, but we don't get any type of like privilege because it's labeled a disability. And
yeah,
in Europe, like in the UK, they do. But
yeah.
not here in the US.
Yeah, and that's the point I'm making. That at least if we could move, for instance, what the UK and Europe are doing,
Mhm.
and say, okay, yeah, let's look at this as a disability because we have an act here, um, Persons with Disabilities Act, that protects people with disabilities, for instance. So why didn't? Because I can tell you, I have spoken to several
Uh-huh.
T1Ds, and they will tell you at their workplaces, for instance, they can't take their shots. They have to go to the toilets, the bathrooms. They can't check their sugars because we prick. We don't have pumps and CGMs. We don't have that. So it's a finger prick. You can't do that even on your desk. You can't do that. I was recently in a restaurant with somebody, and I wanted to take my dose before I could eat the meal, and he was like, "What are you doing? You can't do that here." And I could see the waiter
Mhm.
looking on very, very uncomfortably, wondering what's happening here. So I said, look, if I'm not taking my insulin here, I'm not having this meal. And
Right.
it was that. So I told him, look,
You took a small stand.
I told him, look, if I give up into what you're saying, give into what you're saying, move to the bathrooms, take my shot, okay? If if you're able to cajole me into doing this, you, a friend of mine, is able to cajole me into doing this. What about a stranger who is more powerful to a T1D who has no voice down there? What's going to happen? So I
Mhm.
told him no. taking this step. And if this is the end of our friendship, so be it. If
Right.
I'm making you
And
uncomfortable, I'm sorry, but it is.
makes me think if someone is early on in their diagnosis and
Yeah,
someone rejects them or tells them they cannot take their insulin here, like that is something that instills in them. So every single time they're going to be out in public, they're going to be like, I can't take my insulin. That'll turn
I'm
into them
taking it.
not
Yeah,
even taking it outside their home.
exactly.
Like
Exactly.
a few months ago, well, this past fall, I had an episode released with a young
Yeah,
lady named Justar Kajuju. She's from Kenya,
yeah,
and she took a stance similar to yourself. There's this YouTube video of her. She's a big advocate in Kenya for type
yeah,
1 diabetes. There's a YouTube video where she's on um this national broadcast station on the news, and she's telling them about type 1 diabetes, and the news anchor man, his face is like cringing because she's like, I think my blood sugar may be a little high. I'm going to check my
yeah.
blood sugar. And this is on TV. And she
On
pulls
TV.
out
Wow.
like she's checking her blood sugar, and she's like, oh, I need to take a shot. And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like, you're going to do that here right now? And she's like, yep. And you had to see his face. It was like he was so disgusted. And she was like, yes, that's a part of my advocacy. I don't care what others think,
That was
feel.
powerful.
Yep.
That was powerful.
It's like people need to see this. She was like, I only had this one opportunity to be
Yeah,
on this broadcast.
that
I
was.
did it.
I think I think I'll do that. If I get a chance, I'm going to do that. And you know what's funny? I know that it's possible that, for instance, here, that if you did that, they would cite you for something like indecent exposure,
Mm,
indecency, easily, easily. But sometimes, as I said, sometimes we need to take some of these radical approaches. So, well, if they take you to court, it's an opportunity for you you know to make noise about it, to get people to know about the condition. So, I think I need to look out for her
mhm.
and congratulate her on doing that. That was massive. That
Right.
was massive, and it's exactly these radical things that we need to do. These things outside of the box that we need to do to get people to talk about type 1. You see, uh, in Africa, because I was engaging with a colleague of mine who was lucky enough to attend, I think it was ISPAD, and he
Mhm.
was telling me that in Europe, uh, the type 2s say that they have been overshadowed by type 1 diabetics, because the type 1 diabetics are loud, they're out there, they get all the attention. Here, it's the exact opposite.
It's the opposite.
Exact opposite. I'm not saying I don't like type 2s. I love them. I have
Right.
some
Right.
very good friends. And for me, it's not even an issue. It's okay for them to get all the attention that they get. They deserve it, because our complications still are the same.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, we all get the same complications, really. But the mere fact that those who need to consider that there are other conditions, there's another condition, type 1 diabetes as well. And
Right.
I don't know if it doesn't make sense for them. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's not their in their problems, but there's that issue of overshadowing of type 1
Mm.
diabetes. First of all, within diabetes itself, type 1 versus type 2. But then again, type 1 diabetes vis-a-vis other NCDs. So, cardiovascular diseases, chronic kidney conditions, all those other conditions. And then there is NCDs as a block where diabetes falls vis-a-vis the communicable diseases. So we're talking HIV, we're talking
Mhm.
malaria, we're talking TB. There's also that, because recently I had that the national budget is health gets about 4.1%. 4.1%. And on the 4.1%, NCDs gets about 40 or 30% or thereabout. And on top of that, diabetes as part of NCDs gets even, I think, less than 20%. And type 1 diabetes as part of diabetes probably gets even nothing. And when you see that the funding gap for NCDs, whether it's diabetes or whatever it is 98%. 98%. It just shows you that, one, there's probably no willingness to make these decisions. The priorities are elsewhere. And as I say, because now the push is that the people with these conditions have to do sharing, cost sharing. That's what they call it. But what's funny is they want you to share the costs when it comes to paying, but they don't want to share the table with them when it
Right.
comes to making these decisions. So they want you at the tail end where it hurts you. They want you.
It's
That's where
so
they want you to come in and yes, come and say, yeah, okay, we need you in here now. You need to, do your role, do your part. But at the earlier stage, where you can actually contribute, where you should contribute, you're not there. So
right. It's almost
it's
like you see this buffet of food in front of you, and you're like,
uh,
"Oh my gosh, I want some." They're like,
uh,
"Okay, that's so many dollars." Or what's your money in Uganda? With money? What's your money?
shillings, Ugandan shillings.
Shit. Oh, you use shillings. Oh,
Yeah,
Uganda. Okay, it's so many shillings, and you're like, "Okay, here's the shillings," and then they're like, "Oh, you have to wait 3 months to come back to see if you can get some of this food." And you're like, but the buffet's right there in front of me,
right.
and I'm here, and I'm
Exactly.
here. And they're like, I know, but your shillings we have to put on hold until all of these different government subsidies can look at it and figure out if your money is valued here. But we
Yep.
need your money. We're going to take your money. You can't get it
Yep.
back.
Yep.
But at the same time, you can't get none of this food right now. You have to wait. And you
Yeah.
still don't know if you're ever going to get any of that food.
And many times we don't.
Many times you don't,
Many times we don't. Yeah.
right? And I think
So
with the whole like in Europe, the type 2 versus type 1 thing is because we know for forever there's been no media presence of type 1 diabetes.
yeah.
And when we consider the makeup of diabetes globally, it's between 5 and 10% of diabetics are type 1.
Yeah.
So when the T2 community or people living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes for many years have not shown or forecast, like I live with type 2 diabetes and this is my health. When they see someone with type 1 pop up out the blue, like you and me, they're like, but forever I've had to hide this. Like they've had to hide it forever. So now
Yeah.
when they see someone pop up with it and they're okay, they like prick their finger out in public, take their insulin, and they're like, oh, that's not okay.
Yeah.
My mom, my dad always told me I had to hide this.
Yeah.
But today we're showing them and we're telling them like, nah, we want to be at our best. And being at our best means being able to do the things that we need to do when we need to do them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so some days I still cry. I won't lie to you. Some days I still cry. I cry because myself, it gets tough. 15 years burnout is like you're literally um, pushing against the wall. It gets hard. Many a times I've been able to push against the wall with the help of fellow T1Ds. I've been lucky that really I've had some of the best doctors or really understanding doctors who have been with me along the journey. And not only that, of course, there have been several partners who've chipped in to help us out, whether it's CDSE programs, SNF, whether it's UDA, UNCDA, all of these chipped in to help us. But at the end of the day, when you go back to your bed and you think about what the journey has been like, you're hopeful for the future, optimistic, but also there is that at the back of your head that's going like, okay, this could all just blow back in my face. This could all just tumble down like a stack of cards. And sometimes you ask yourself, of course, people ask themselves, what did I do to deserve this? Many of them ask themselves that question. But I think it's even more powerful when you find your purpose within the T1D. When T1D guides you, when your well-being and the well-being of others is your shining star. And many people actually asked me, some of the lads I studied with back in high school asked me, do you still inject yourself? I'm like, yeah, I still do. I'm still going to, by the look of things, till for the rest of my life. I'm like, what? So how did you manage to do it while both were high school and university and postgrad? How did you do it? And honestly, I have no answer. Well,
Okay.
I don't know.
The
But I
same.
think it's just, I think you get something. The fact that you want to see your T1 difference at the next clinic visit. The fact that you want to be part of your T1Ds, if you're the T1Ds who are getting married or who are having children or celebrating. The fact that you want to be there when they're going through all these challenges, because they're always there for you as well. That gives you the reason to push it. That makes it worthwhile having T1D. Somebody
Right.
did once mention that we I think it was something about we got the what's the word, the first part of the draw, because we have a condition that's manageable. If you can manage it,
If
you
you,
can do good. Yeah. So yeah, that also was. But you see, it's not just the managing is not just waking up, and it's much harder than that. And obviously, that's a discussion maybe for some other day. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah,
But yeah,
I've had people ask me, and instead of asking me, I tell them straight out now, because via social media, you see so many people talking about like the diabetes burnout they go through daily.
yeah,
And I tell them that truly, I don't go through that anymore. And that's mainly because of my, me being or putting myself in a community and helping
yeah,
others. Me helping others, the thousands of people that I've helped, like worldwide, it has helped me eliminate that burden. It makes me want to continue being my best. And I can't assist or help another person if I'm not first assisting and helping me.
yeah. That's very true.
Yeah,
That's very
and
true.
it puts a smile on my heart. Like, I think I gotta title this like Smile on My Heart because you smiled the entirety of this conversation.
you know, some people say that uh, there's some T1Ds who've never seen who've known for 10, 12 years, and they've never seen me sad. it's funny. They've never seen me sad. I get angry quite a lot, but they've never seen me sad. They always see me smiling,
Angry at the
and they,
system.
yeah, they wonder why. And it's just because you feel at home. You know, somebody said home is not where your family is or where you're born, but where your heart is. And for every T1D, every other T1D they meet, wherever they find it, every other T1D is home for them.
Right.
Whether it's 1,000 miles from here or just a neighbor. Yeah.
Right. Speaking of home, I did want to ask you, because you were 15 when you were diagnosed,
Yeah.
a high
Yeah.
school student, right?
Yeah.
Um, you were at home with your family during that time. How did your diagnosis at that time affect your family?
Well, I was lucky. Well, firstly, I was in a boarding school. I was in a boarding school, so when I was diagnosed, after like 4 weeks of misdiagnosis, they would you would leave school, you'd leave the hospital maybe in the morning, and by evening you're back. You're readmitted for like 4 weeks straight. So I get back to school, and of course we got the recommendations from the doctor. I think it was even a general physician, and he's saying, "Oh no, he has to have his own separate meals. Oh no, he has to keep his insulin under this and whatnot." And the headmaster looks at it and is like, "This is a boarding school, right? I have other 1,500 boys here. I'm not going to do that for."
Right.
So yeah, so he gave me an option whether he said he could give me another school or I could commute. So for like, because we have terms here, the term is like 3 to 4 months. So for every term, for like 2.5 terms, no, 1.5 terms, I had to commute from school, from home to school every day.
How far
So
was
my
that?
father would, it was, if it's around, because it's about, because we had to leave home, drop my kid brother at his school, and then they'll drop me. And by the time to get to school, it'd be about 25 kilometers. And then they would have to come back to work. And then in the evening, they would have to come back for me to pick me up. So it was hard on especially my father, because it was my father who was doing that. And honestly, it's something is never spoken about or never spoken about, and I've never had even the opportunity
I
to
was going to
appreciate it.
ask, have you ever been able to sit down and have that conversation with your parents about your diagnosis and how
I've,
that
I've actually
affected them?
I've actually never. Maybe I've had it maybe with my mother, but because you see in Africa here, our fathers don't usually,
It's the
don't
same
usually.
here.
So
It's the
yeah,
same.
yeah. So, but thinking of it, and the older you grow, I think it's something that I would love to ask
It's
him
a
about
needed,
and
it's a
say,
needed conversation.
yeah. And even with my mother, I think with both of them, because I haven't really just just spoken about it roughly, but it was tough because 4 weeks in hospitals, we tried every hospital imaginable until by some luck somebody just said, "What if?" And then boom. So
Were you
yeah,
tested
it
for
was
like
hard.
everything?
Yeah, I know it was hard, and then because I did realize so many changes happening at home once I got diagnosed. Like so many changes. There was so many things that were taken or they were carried out. I had my grandmother when I was at because we have two levels of high school. There's the ordinary level and the advanced levels, sort of like what they have in the UK. And my grandmother used to wake up every day at 4 a.m. to cook food for me. I packed lunch every day for 2 years in a, without fail, every single day. And so when I did as my exams, for me, I knew it wasn't anybody else's effort. but my grandmother's effort. And even her, I think I need to have a conversation with her because I think these are some of the people that, we don't get to hear the side of the story. And I feel, thinking about it now, makes me feel like
Emotional.
seeing that's like, oh, yeah, feeling emotional, but and seeing their sacrifices and what they've done, especially when I was starting out, makes me appreciate them even more. Makes me even more empowered now to want to push and be better. First of all,
Mhm.
myself, for them, and for other T1Ds, because we're looking back at somebody waking up every day at 4 a.m. to buy meals every day. Well,
Mhm.
that's massive. 4 a.m. is, I think somebody's going to bed at what? At 11 p.m.? So every day for 2 years, without fail, without fail. So,
Right. She did everything she
and
could
yeah,
to help aid in you
yeah,
becoming who you are today. Like
yeah,
you finished high school, you went on to college or university, and
yeah, yeah,
look, you're a lawyer today, an
yeah.
advocate, and you're living with type 1 diabetes. I mean, I just think like how often, like if you didn't have type 1 diabetes, what route would your life have gone? You
It,
don't know.
it would
You may be an
it would be
engineer. You
boring.
may not.
Will it would be boring. I'll probably be somewhere stuck
Right.
in some, yeah, building a road or some building somewhere deep in the villages. Yeah,
Right.
but the journey has been amazing.
The
I have
journey's been amazing.
It's been amazing. I,
Maybe I gotta put that
I
down for a title also.
it's taught me so many things. It's challenged me because the path I've taken is so uh, it's good, no straight line. This is what you're supposed to do. You're not sure what's going to happen tomorrow, but that's how life is supposed to be. That you don't wake up and say, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this. This is my routine every day. It's very much interesting
Right.
now.
Plans are made to be changed.
Yeah, I think honestly, I told somebody one time that I think probably T1D is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Mhm.
It's the
You
best
really
thing
trying
that's
to give me some different titles. T1 T is the best thing.
happened.
Because
Because
uh,
it's it's
gotcha.
it's it's given it's given purpose. It's
Purpose.
given me friends. It's given me a sense of belonging. It's given me an opportunity to. I used to be shy and quiet and really, so into my shell, and that's it. But
I wonder if
it,
family and friends from before look at you like, who is this person?
I know, right? No, it's actually, some people don't believe it. You see, when some people see me in camp and outside camp, they wouldn't even know that it's the same person. Like when I'm in the diabetes space, it's like I'm taken over by this spirit of freedom of, and they burst into existence when I'm in the diabetes space, and that's this. It just gives me. It feels safe. It feels safe, and for me, it's the least I can do for the rest of the T1Ds who are coming after us, or even who are with us now, is to create that space for them on a grand scale, so that it permeates school, permeates church, permeates the communities they live in, permeates their workplaces and the work environments. It permeates every aspect of their lives. That they're free to enjoy themselves, to grow up, to live as they would like to live.
and I'm going to put this in your ear, put a bug in your
Yeah.
ear. Tell
Okay.
those young upcoming T1Ds to
Oh yeah.
look into like research and maybe working in like chemical manufacturing facilities and that
Yeah.
types of stuff because you need that there. You
Yeah.
need a insulin production
Oh yeah.
site
That's
because
true.
the closer you are to one of them, the easier
Yeah.
it is to access the
That
needed
is true.
insulin.
That is very true. And I think actually that's a very solid point. We haven't had that targeted, sort of targeted, sort of, I don't want to call it deployment, but that's a very interesting uh, strategy that actually I'm thinking about it
I
here and I
know.
see.
I know. I didn't look.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I had a conversation with someone about it a while ago, and it
yeah,
just like I just thought about it during this conversation. I'm like, yeah, it's a need. Like you still have that engineering brain.
yeah. I
Look,
do. I don't think I remember any of those things there.
make it happen. Has diabetes in general like affected you in any like relationships, whether it's significant others, friends, family?
Yeah. Well, I guess I've been lucky. Uh, you see, one thing that I've picked from T1D is, to speak, to just accept your flaws and just, be yourself. And for some reason, that always shines through to people when you're authentic and genuine self. You actually get to like you. So it's for me, it's actually because it's one of the things I tell somebody. Look, I'm T1D. This is what it's all about. You won't get it. It's not going to affect anybody. Obviously, I'll get hypos. So when I get hypos, because sometimes I have sweets in me. So when I get hypos, you're going to need to, get help with the sweet or something like that, or some glucose. So it's also something that's intrigued them. So it sort of like makes you look mysterious,
Mhm.
and yeah, it sort of intrigues people. So for me personally, it's not affecting me much. Obviously, the people who have concerns other than like my wife, other than her, other people may have concerns like, oh, you know, is it going to produce? Is going to do this thing, this and that? Is it going to live long, or probably it's got a few years to go? But for me, that doesn't get to me. I don't allow it to get to me. But I know there's so many other T1Ds, especially the females, who have had big challenges in the relationships. Some of them, of course, have produced, but because the condition, is difficult to manage in the areas where they are. They've had episodes of hypos, hypers, and the relationships have suffered as a result of that. So I may have a situation that's maybe different, but for the people spoken to, many of them, especially the ladies, for the gentlemen, because, well, you can, you know, you can lead your life and live it as you want. But for the ladies who rely on husbands, but also rely on the extended family from the husband's side,
Right.
it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Because the gentlemen, their partners, usually, obviously at the start, they say, yeah, I'm with you, I'm with you. But the words they hear always, wear them down. The words they'll
Yeah.
hear will always wear them down. And eventually, a single mistake like this, and it says, you know what, I'm tired of you and your sickness, and boom, you out. So there's a serious issue that actually needs to be addressed. That
Like
actually needs to be addressed.
outside of North America and Europe,
Yeah.
everywhere that I've seen, whether it's like Africa, India, Asia, um, the significant other, female, the wife, aids not only her family, but the husband's family also.
Yeah.
Like if an in-law is sick, the wife has to tend to them.
Yeah.
Um, like it's like not only are they supposed to bear their child, but they're supposed to
It's supposed
bear the adults in that family also. Like it's a
you sort of
lot.
like belong to you belong to
It's
the clan.
yep, yep. Like you signed up for this.
Uh-huh.
And they don't think about your health, your mental health or physical health.
Yeah.
Because for years, for generations, this is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way that the blueprint has been written. They're like, you can't change this. If your health is deterring you from um, doing the things that my family needs you to do, then
Yeah.
you can't be a part of this.
Yeah.
They see them as a problem instead of
That's exactly what they do.
coming
Yeah,
together
that's
as this
exactly.
family for this whole approach and this wholesome
Yeah.
approach and helping. It's crazy.
And
Like I said, it still
and
seems like 1960s, 1950s.
exactly. And you see, there's something you talked about mental health, and it's really affecting many T1 days. So those in relationships like that, it's bad. It's bad, and mental health, of course, is still where we are. Is still a gray area that people don't want to talk
Mhm.
about. Yeah, because people probably think things like depression is just you trying to show off and look cool. You know, when we talk about things like anxiety, people think this one just wants to look cool and should show us that they some fancy times and whatnot. But if you look at, I think I, this is not backed up by any statistics or anything, but I think probably 98% of us would be clinically would be diagnosed maybe clinical depression, something like that.
Depression.
I kid you not.
I agree.
I kid you not. And and again, this way I said that the only way we can, some of the ways we can do this is by having such engagements where we just talk about things that we're going through, share, actually just even laugh at each other because you see when you look at when somebody tells you their challenge and you tell them the challenge, and you laugh about it. Obviously, when you're laughing about it, you will talk about it, but also it now gives you the freedom to say, okay, yeah, this is it's not as bad as it seems, or I can actually get out of this if I keep listening to the advice that I get from the counselor or somebody in the family who cares about what I'm going through. But there's also a need to handle this, mental health issues because it's creeping up, it's growing, and you see, when you're growing up with a condition, you're dependent. Actually, many of the parents tell you that they feel more T1D than
Mhm.
their children do. So they leave the condition for the children. So as they grow, as the children are growing up, they don't even have to worry about these things, whether it's food, whether it's what, but they do not worry about that. But as they grow out and transition out of the programs, for instance, and then they start becoming independent. You start having families, you start having obligations at work, society obligations. Of course, for instance, when somebody dies, they expect you to contribute something or even to attend. You get it. Uh, when things like that start creeping in, and of course, yeah, they expect you to be a macho man and not to appear soft or things like that. And Some people are not going to talk about those things. They're going to swallow them and keep them inside themselves. And one day, unfortunately, it always explodes.
Always.
So we need to find solutions for how do we bring everybody together? How do we create a safe space where people can talk about these things? Because the stigma is real. The myths are still there. The stigma is real.
It's real.
So schools, um, schools will generally tell you, look, if your child is diabetic, look, we can't keep him here. Or if you're keeping him in here, you have to sign this form
Yep, like a
declaring that, yeah,
disclosure.
yes, the school takes no liability. Once something happens, we call you. All we do is call you, inform you, and we don't lie about it. Some people talk about, of course, saying that, oh, we could have something like there's something they called it. I forget what they called it, but where you pay extra money for the
Oh,
school to take care of your child, providing him with special meals and whatnot. That's not what it's supposed to be, because the difference between
it's a child.
the difference between a child with T1D and a child without T1D is just that the child injects the insulin,
Right.
administers the
It's no
insulin.
one's
Yeah,
fault.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. The stigmas within the community,
It's
they exist there and they're not going anywhere. It's crazy.
anywhere.
Um, I'm pretty sure you live in Uganda. You've had, I mean, there's people who practice medicine, and then there's
Yeah,
people who practice medicine.
yeah, yeah.
So you've had people reach out to you or family member be like, has he tried this or that? Or I'm sure this could get rid of his diabetes. Like
So much. Oh my God, so much.
so
Uh,
much.
I remember, I remember when it just been diagnosed.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. These supplements. I don't know what they're called, but these protein supplements. I think zinc or whatever. Those supplements that come with so many boxes and whatnot. So that was the first one they brought to me. They're like, all these supplements will work. They'll boost you and clean you. Like, I'm not taking any of that. I just say I am not taking it. They're quite expensive, because the equivalent I think would be like $700 on that. Very expensive. And that was just the first line. There are like three other lines that you're supposed to buy. I said, look, I'm not taking any of that. I'm not going to be part of that. But I know, and again, I respect everybody's faith and denominations and what they believe in. The other thing that it's not just those doctors, there are two of them. The herbalists, so those who think that the herbs will, you know, treat the condition and cure the condition, but also those who believe that it's a spiritual problem. So the pastors or the preachers will be able to pray, and prayers will get to heal, somebody. And it's so sad because we've seen what you'd call maybe model patients,
Mhm.
people who were, doing so well, and then they get sidetracked into that, and then they just lose it. They get into DKA, they get complications, and by the time they come back in, it's situation is bad. And we always tell them, look, nobody's saying you can't pray. Pray, pray as God heals you. So as God is healing you, as God is healing you, please do take your insulin. Please do take your insulin. And it's difficult to fight that kind of belief, because our culture, our society we're in, there's a belief in the spiritual world and in this being, in this giver, and the giver of life, the healer. And so when you find people who don't understand how the condition works, and maybe that's a reason why we should be talking more and sharing with people more the nuances of type 1 diabetes as opposed to maybe type 2, because that's where the challenges come in from. We're talking about people who have only interfaced with type 2 diabetes, and maybe herbs have worked for them, maybe prayers have worked for them, maybe exercise has worked for them, and they've maybe reversed the condition. And then they think, oh, it's the same thing. He's a young kid, he's not supposed to have this. Probably somebody bewitched him. Let's pray, and it goes. Which, and it's difficult because when they're set in their ways, unfortunately, the only way you can get them to change their ways is when they see the T1D, you know, admitted in hospital, which is always sad, because it's only then when they say, "Oh, okay, I think now we need to let the doctors take over."
Right, and I think a big part of that is a lot of the families who do go that route, they think many of them I've had conversations with have said like, well, I've never seen type 1 diabetes before.
Oh yeah,
Or I've only seen so many people with type 1 diabetes, so they believe that it must have went away. Or like they think like, then why are there so many people with type 2 diabetes
exactly.
and so little with type 1? Type 1
Yeah,
must can go away. It has to be able to. And it's like there's a whole science behind it. Like we do not have the insulin hormone. The insulin hormone is needed. You have it. That's why
yeah,
you can talk about it like that. Like
exactly.
we do not have
And
that.
and that's why, um, for us to really the push has been, okay, can we now talk about T1D the way we talk about HIV, malaria?
Mhm.
Can we talk about it? Can we have all these T1Ds share the
Right.
stories?
We
Can we
shouldn't
give
have
them
to wait
platform?
until there's a breakout of T1D where
Exactly.
every other person has it. We shouldn't have to wait
Has it?
until then.
And then become sort of like what, an epidemic or something like that.
Mm,
We shouldn't have to
right.
wait for it. We shouldn't have to wait to bury so many of our fights. We shouldn't have to wait for that.
We shouldn't have to. Um, I can sense that over the last 15 years, um, you've built up and gained so much confidence as you've aged with type 1 diabetes. It may have not been there
Yeah,
in the early years, but I mean, 15 years later, you're in year 15 or year 16 with type 1
15.
diabetes.
This is my 15th year.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
sweet 16.
yeah,
Literally sweet 16. Uh, but yeah, you've gained so much confidence. Your influence is impactful on the community because I see you. Like I see the things that you warriors are doing in Uganda. And I know sometimes there's breaks in between because you don't have all of the resources that are available.
yeah,
I know that. And I hope that somehow in the future we can connect our communities
yeah.
so
Most
that
certainly.
because there are people that got money, people that have funds that can donate. And I've been trying for the last almost year to get like supplies shipped to Uganda, but I've had so many things that have stopped and blocked me where they're like, well, the insulin, because of the weather temperatures and the change in climates, I don't think it can be shipped from the US to Uganda. Um, do you have the dosing correctly scaled from the US to Uganda?
Yeah,
It's going to
yeah.
be checked at the ports and I'm like, I'm like, by the time it gets halfway there, they done tore up all the boxes throughout the like, oh, these little needles, no, these pin caps, no, no. Like, I'm like, how can I successfully make this transaction? Like,
Yeah,
how
I do
can
get there.
right? It's like, do I need to ship it to China and then like I don't
I think
know,
it's
like someone else who's close, like get it to Kenya at Juice Star, and then
then
Juice Star can
yeah,
somehow figure out how to get it to you, like somewhere that's not deemed what they would consider what they consider a third world country, like someone who's more, I guess they would call civilized. I don't know. Yeah, we got to figure that out.
yeah. Most certainly, I think that's a conversation we can have. Uh, because I do understand also from uh, our perspective this side, there are so many prohibitive measures that make it difficult for you or anybody who would like to, help out. And again, that's why now, for instance, some of the things that we need to talk about. Can we remove these prohibitive, measures? Because this is a life-saving drug, whether it's insulin or life-saving assistive device. It's not a luxury. It's not. Uh, it's not a recreational device. It's not a profit-driven or business-making, or it's not that. It's life-saving. It's not even just life-saving.
Right.
It's life-enabling
And just
because
think about how it affects young people. Like
exactly.
I've
We,
had
we,
people that
we,
have filled bags, like luggage bags, and traveled to Europe with
yeah,
like insulin and CGMs and things. But I've never had anyone do it and travel to Africa.
because they'd probably make you pay taxes, and you'd wonder what's.
Once you get there, they might be like, "Oh, this is valuable. I'm going to keep like."
Yeah, I mean, they'll ask you if it's about $500, you'll have to pay, and it doesn't make sense because it just doesn't make sense
It
because
doesn't.
you're not selling it. It's
Mhm.
to help people. So why are they taxing it? Why are they taxing it? And I think those are some of the conversations that we need to have at
They,
the at the Global NCD Forum. I think that happened just about, I think, last week. Of course, there were discussions about financing and tax regimes. Of course, they're saying, "Oh yeah, let's
have
tax
you ever
the
seen
sodas."
these conversations turn into like legit like practices?
What I've seen, for instance, I was telling you about taxation. Uh, they tax more, but it's not like removing the taxes or the levies. They will increase the collection. So if it's maybe for type 2 diabetes and they want to reduce the risk factors, they'll say, oh, let's tax the beers, let's tax the sodas, let's increase the levy on that. But when instead of saying, and again, because that's preventative, and that's like what they're looking at, can we prevent these
Mm.
NCDs from coming in? Okay. So the role is, the idea is, let's prevent. How to prevent? Tax more, tax more, tax more. But T1D is rather unique that it can't be prevented. So any preventative measure you're taking doesn't actually help them because the measures that you should be taking should be enhancing management and control. So for us, while a fiscal policy should be, can we remove the levies, the taxes that we're placing on assistive devices, on glucometers, on strips, on whatever it is? Can we remove those? If we know somebody's coming in with, let's say, glucometers, if the person can prove, for instance, uh, that they are an organization that deals with this outside the country, they're exempted
Yeah.
from whether it's excise duty or import tax or whatever it is. They're exempted from that. That's what we need. Because truth is, it's impossible. it's very difficult. It's the financial burden is heavy. T1D here, it's heavy. I know many of us worry and think about that time when people no longer have access to these programs, because then you're going back to square one. You're going back to square one, and we unfortunately have not, I don't know, we're not, preparing ourselves for that day, because we know it's coming. It's coming,
What's
but
some
we
what's some good advice you've received or any you can share or give to someone that's either newly diagnosed or someone who's been living with type 1 diabetes for a while and they just need like a change of mindset.
yeah. Um, what I can tell them is this: one, they're not alone. We're here. Other T1Ds are here for you. That's what I can tell them personally. Secondly, that what they got, the condition is manageable. They can choose wherever they want to go. If you want to leave and there's insulin, there's strips, there's everything, you can. You can. So many of them have become architects, designers, fashion designers, accountants. You can. But most importantly, that your diabetes doesn't make you any less of a person. Actually, it makes you the most awesome person ever. Because what it will give you, the discipline, the sense of purpose it will give you, the family it will build for you, you're never ever going to get it anywhere else. And from the day you will embrace it, you will love, the day and the fact that you're T1D. And trust me, your life will never be the same again.
I agree. But I do have to ask you my final question, even though you
All right,
just
sure,
gave
sure.
me that heartfelt like message to community about living with T1D, because even though they may say Uganda is 30 years behind, I know that just as I am able to use insulin today, you're able to use insulin today, right?
Yeah,
So we've seen the studies and research over the last few years about a
yeah,
functional cure. Someday,
yeah.
I don't know how soon, and I don't know if it's going to reach you at the same time or speed that it reaches me,
I don't think so.
but I truly hope so.
Yeah,
I I truly hope so. I truly hope that there's a day when I'm able to have a sit down and have a conversation with you,
yeah,
Habita, everyone from Sonia and Habita's foundation, like everyone, we're able to sit down and have a conversation in the same space.
yeah,
Meaning we don't have to be on virtually. Like I can
yeah,
travel to you, you can travel here. We don't have to worry
yeah,
about taking insulin with us, checking our blood sugar, because on that day, that would mean that we were cured of type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes has helped us so much in our journey, you and I both.
yeah,
But at the same time, with the knowledge and of experience, lived experience we have today, we know that without diabetes, we'd be able to do so much more.
way more.
so
way
much
more.
more. We'd be able to help
It's
out in so many other chronic health conditions.
yeah.
Like, so on that day, Ivan, I speak it into existence. I see the smirk on your face, like, yeah, right, Will. I speak it into existence. I truly do. On that day, you find out you've been fully cured, and all of your T1D community, peers, friends, those you love most, have been fully cured of type 1 diabetes. On that day, what do you do?
Oh, I didn't see that coming. Wow.
You're
Huh.
cured. What do you do?
I think firstly I'd go down on my knees and just sort of like break down. I think I'd break down. Tears would roll. Tears would roll, and then I would if it, just me or everybody else. Because if everybody
Everyone.
else,
I told
uh,
you,
then,
everyone.
then if we're all together, trust me, we'll just start shouting and jumping up and down, shouting and jumping up and down. And then of course after that we'll probably go for some cake. Yeah, eat a lot of cake. But oh, I think it would. I'll feel like a big load's been taken off of me. I'll feel like I don't have to look over my shoulders anymore, worry about anything. I would feel like I've been set free. I think I'd run around. I would run until my legs just can't carry me any longer. I would, well, I would be happy.
I know
I
you
would
will
be happy.
be. And that smile that's on your face would be able to extend even further. Serious. You'll
Yeah.
be able to smile through the late nights when you're up now. You'll be
Yeah,
able to
I wouldn't have to worry.
smile just in thought.
Yeah, I would just sleep through the nights. When sometimes the sugars get high at night and you have to wake up, I don't know how many times.
Hmm.
You have to worry about hypos. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Just sleep through the night. You can, you don't have to prick your fingers. You don't have to shake. You don't have to inject. You don't have to uh, have those glances at you, those doubts about you. They will all just disappear. I think
And
that would be
on
great.
that day, if there's a pecking order on who gets it first, I'm definitely going to say share it with my friends who don't have the
Yeah,
access to the devices, the technology that I have.
yeah,
Reach out to them first. Let
yeah.
them let them be the ones that can share with the world how free we are
Before,
today.
yeah,
Like, because that will be powerful. Because that's
yeah.
a true need.
And that's for me. Actually, that is for me one of the things that really guide me. I I really believe so much in the fact that um, we need to. And it's something I was alluding to: empowering everybody, everybody, giving everybody the same chance.
Mhm.
Everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves the opportunities that some of us have been able to get. So many of
Mhm.
them have never been to school. So many
Right.
of them deserve to be in school. So many of them have never even taken um, a lipid profile test or a creatinine test. They don't even know what those are. So many of them deserve to be able to at least, have some of those tests. And there's something when we're studying. Somebody said it that when results are released, the exam results are released, and you pass, and then your friend, your very close friend, doesn't pass. there is no way you're going to celebrate that victory of yours. It counts for nothing. But if you both go through, even if it's averagely, Jesus Christ, that's the best feeling ever. So we don't want to leave anybody behind.
We don't leave
We don't want to
anyone
run
behind.
fast. Yeah, we don't want to run fast and leave others behind. If it means all of us moving at a slow pace together, that's what we're going to do.
Together. I got you. On that note, my good brother Ivan, I thank you for joining me on the Chronically Well podcast, where we have real conversations with community that needs to be heard. Because Ivan, with a smile on his heart, you truly deserve to be heard. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Will, for listening to me. And thank you for giving me the chance to speak to you.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.